Society. Jonathan, are you there?
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Hi,
Welcome,
Jonathan.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm pretty good. It just started snowing where I was, so
Okay. You live in
pretty happy about
Seattle, where I have visited a couple times because my dad's there now too.
oh yeah.
It's a cool town.
Yeah, it's
you.
a lovely place, and also our friends at Ask an Atheist are there, and various other really cool atheists. But you're not an atheist.
What do you got for us today?
Well, depends on what you mean by atheist. We'll probably get into that later.
Okay.
So yeah, I'd like to talk about pantheism today, and
Okay.
I noticed that I don't know if this was the last show. It was definitely a few weeks ago, when Matt was on, and this one pantheist called in. He was the panpsychist type that believes that the universe has a consciousness.
Okay.
Um,
As I
and-
recall, Matt didn't have a lot of patience with that guy by the
Right?
end.
Yeah, he didn't make the best case.
The
to
pantheist
say the
didn't?
least. No, yeah, the pantheist.
Yeah, so I guess you have a better one then.
Oh, I hope so. So there's been this misconception that pantheism is just like useless because we already have a synonym for what it's describing. We already have a word for universe. But people ignore that there's actual meaning in that statement. When pantheists say that the universe is God, what they really mean is that they believe that the universe and nature are worthy of the highest reverence and respect and all that. It's like a whole bundle of emotions that you feel towards reality and the universe.
So how is that different than, say, nature worship?
Well, it's not all that different, actually.
Okay, so I feel a lot of really nice, happy, positive feelings about the world and the universe. What additional thing does it mean that it's God?
Right. Well, the thing is about the word God. You can be a pantheist, like an implicit pantheist, and never use God language at all.
Well,
But
then what does theist mean in this context?
Well, pantheism is kind of its own thing from theism. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, this is my understanding, that theistic gods are necessarily transcendent and personal, and pantheist gods, quote unquote, are immanent and impersonal. So in that way, it's kind of an extension of atheism, where secular humanism is kind of an extension of atheism, where you have your response to one single proposition, and then and secular humanists build upon that and add more beliefs.
Okay.
That's just what pantheism is.
Suppose I were somebody who just said, I have no interest in applying the word God to the universe. Can you convince me why I should?
Right. Yeah, I'll try. Okay, so it's been my understanding and fellow pantheists that the universe actually exhibits similar properties to what religious people have given to their God. So I'll just go down the list. You have...
I have similarities to what religious people describe as God, since I am allegedly made in
You look
God's
like
image.
him, right?
Not very well. Technically, yeah, because he made all people in his image.
Yeah.
But I don't think anyone would call me a god. So sharing properties in common and then saying they're the same thing is actually a common fallacy. So I'm going to need some more than that.
well, can I just go through the properties?
All right.
Hit the good ones.
Okay. Well, when pantheists say the universe, we mean universe with the capital U, which is the totality of physical existence. So it's the whole system.
Okay.
So for the properties, you have omnipresence, if you define the universe that way, right?
So if the universe, I mean, there is a sense in which universe is used to mean this set of things that was allegedly came out of the Big Bang. But then there is unclear. It's unclear whether there are potentially other universes, but your use of the word universe, I guess, would include those other universes as part of the universe.
Exactly.
That's fine.
Anything that's out there
on.
and that's part of physical reality, that's included.
Glad we're clear on terms.
To my understanding, if you define the universe that way, then it's omnipresent. Would you agree?
Sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, in the sense that there is nowhere where that universe is not, that's pretty much just a tautology, though. I mean, you're saying everywhere is everywhere.
Right. Well, okay, let's keep going.
Okay.
So if it does turn out that, the multiverse exists, then it's very possible that it could be eternal and infinite. And now we don't know.
Could be, but we don't know.
Right. It's kind of speculation, so that's kind of a maybe. The universe is creative, but it's also destructive. So it plays those two different roles.
I think
So
that
am I.
maybe anthropomorphizing a bit.
Yeah,
The
that's
universe
true,
is doing what it's doing, and we might interpret what those things,
Yeah, we
like the
refer to
formation of a
things as
planet as
being-
creative, for
Right.
example, right?
Well, it's creating something, rearranging things to make new things, right?
Yes, things do not always remain in the same state.
Right.
But I'm not buying that some property of the universe is
Evidence of a thought process.
Right.
Well, no.
Creativity.
I don't think this
creativity
guy
is a different thing, right? But
Jonathan is advocating for a thought process. He is
Right. I'm of the naturalistic
advocating
kind.
for a God which does not have any mind or intent or purpose
Yes.
necessarily. Yes.
okay, then
I still don't know why I'd call that a God.
Okay, I'll keep going.
Okay.
So omnipotence? I'm really hesitant about that. But if you think about it, like the universe encompasses all possible actions. So
in a Murphy's Law sort of way, I guess.
right. So if you're talking about like the possibility of an omnipotent being, it seems that the universe would be the closest that we have, right?
Well, I mean, or there could be no closest thing that we have, and there is just nothing that's omnipotent.
That could be it too, right?
Yeah, and
Like,
I'm not,
I don't quite get what omnipotence means here either, because is there whatever happens, and you're saying that the universe could do anything it wanted to, except that you don't think it wants to
not
do anything.
want.
So what does that mean?
Just that the universe can do anything that is logically possible. Like all actions occur within the universe, so it's like the universe is able to do anything, right?
So, I mean, what is this other than a tautology? Is there any set of observations you could make that would lead you to conclude, oh, it turns out this is a non-omnipotent universe as opposed to an omnipotent one?
Yeah,
Like, you're just
that would be
defining
kind of hard to
everything
do.
that happens as the set of things that the universe can do.
Yeah, I think the sort of common thought about omnipotence is that there is a decision made and that being does something that it maybe wasn't going to happen anyway, right? That could put a big birthday cake here on the table, for example,
Right.
just as an example, and I think that the universe could assemble a birthday cake somewhere on its own or whatever, but not here now as the result of a decision. And so I think that there's a bit of a disconnect with the terminology here.
Yeah, like I'm gonna be blunt-ish here. Like, I think you and I pretty much agree on the same set of factual observations, but for some reason you're throwing in a bunch of loaded language that has a lot of baggage associated with it, and I just don't see why you'd bother.
Which I don't see the benefit of this way of thinking.
Right. Well, it all comes down to the emotional response that we have towards the universe, and that we hold it as the highest object of respect and reverence. So a lot of that is aesthetic appeal, but a lot of that is also just general appreciation.
I think a lot of scientists and a lot of folks that sort of invest in understanding things do have that feeling, at least to some degree, of, hey, this is pretty awesome, and and gosh, it's nice to be alive, and gosh, isn't this sort of wonderful? And we've called it in various times wonderment or awe or
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
I think the universe is really cool, and I'm glad that it exists, and I'm impressed by it. But I don't know if that's the same thing as the highest reverence. And it sounds like if I don't hold it in that level of esteem, then I'm still not a pantheist.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. Yeah.
Okay. So when you say you're a pantheist, you say that you pretty much believe the same as me, that the universe exists, that by some definition the universe encompasses the set of all things, which is a perfectly valid use of the word universe. It has no consciousness, it has no intent. Believing this thing doesn't have any bearing on what happens in the universe. I think we're on the same page with all that. I just still don't see any point to changing that terminology.
Yeah. Jumping out of this conversation a little bit, I think my main quibble with theists is this idea of a personal God that you can appeal to, and gee, if I just kill some homosexuals, I'll make this God happy, and I'll get a perpetual orgasm in the afterlife.
And of course,
that sort of
pantheists
thing.
don't believe that.
Right,
That's cool.
right. So yeah, as long as you're not in that camp, I'm whatever, anything goes. That's that. I don't have a big issue here.
Right. Okay.
But I also don't find the addition of a variant of theism interesting in any way.
Yeah, that's fine. If it doesn't appeal to you,
Okay.
then that's okay.
All right.
Yeah.
It's kind
So no harm, no foul, I guess. Yeah.
Right.
Yep,
Exactly.
but if you're not harming anyone, do what you will, etc.
Okay. So one last thought. Would you call this atheism? Because I kind of made the point that it's not theism, so wouldn't it have to be a form of atheism?
if you want to associate God with the universe, then you've got a God in play, right? And if you want to assert atheism that they don't believe in a God, then you kind of reached some sort of
not a
problem
theistic
here.
God.
I'm a big believer in letting people call themselves what they want to, as I hope we made clear in our earlier conversation with Stephanie. So if you believe in something that you call pantheism, then I guess you're not really an atheist. Although, given what you do believe, I'd say your belief in a pantheistic God, in air quotes, is not really any different from my not believing in any God at all, that I can tell.
Yeah. And then there's the whole popular definition of atheist, right? The people that tend to call themselves atheists in our culture today tend to be folks that reject God claims, and they have kind of a skeptical bent, and to a first approximation are big into science and these sorts of things, and that's seemingly a little bit at odds with this pantheism idea. Anyway, but that's a different definition of atheism, if you will. It's more to the self-label thing.
All right.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Okay. Thanks for
So I'll let
calling,
you move on.
Jonathan.